are we talking about?
All right, we're recording.
Yeah.
We're live. Hey guys, well I gathered everybody here to do the First Vision podcast. So to my left is Russ Zorn. To my right is Quentin Deedy. So I guess he'd be on your left. Quentin's on your left. I'm in the middle, and Russ is on the right of the screen.
And if you're listening on Spotify, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So if you're listening, then
Then you're probably lucky you don't have to look at it.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
yeah, we're
Especially
recording.
this guy over here.
We're recording at an undisclosed location, which is where my band practices. So, thanks to them for letting us practice here. You're kind of cutting me out of the camera there. Oh, now my bald head is super reflecting. So, but we're gonna talk about a little bit of local stuff that we have going on. We're gonna talk about national pool events, and hopefully. At some point, we'll be able to get some people on here for some interviews and some stuff like that, but we just wanted to get the first episode off the ground. So we're Vision Pool Academy, I guess, but we just call ourselves Vision Pool. We run a lot of tournaments in the area, and also Russ and I do lessons, and then Quentin's our social media guy, so he puts all our videos on YouTube. There's a great Vegas video that they have where they took Mark Adams down for the 456 and under qualifier, and then also, of course, our trip to Sacramento. That video just went up on YouTube as well. Today is the 30th of May, so it was the first day of the UK Open. So there really hasn't been a lot that's happened. It's a 256 player tournament, but it is a huge Moscone qualifier event. So there was around 15 Americans that made the trip out there. So notably, the number one thing that I guess happened for America is that Tyler Steyer lost in the second round to a 14-year-old Swedish kid named Walter Laker, or Lakry. Sorry, I'm definitely probably butchering the name, but he in the interview just said that he just went into the match with the mentality that he wanted to make it tough on Tyler and just give him a real tough match, and he got out to a real heavy lead. I think at one point he was up 7-3 or 6-3 or something like that, and ended up beating him hill. So
That's pretty crazy.
yeah, unfortunate for Tyler, but it's like a couple years ago when I was in Vegas. Russ and I were in Vegas, and this little kid named Riku Rompanen beat Skylar Woodward it was the Vegas series, so it was that 10-ball tournament in Vegas, but it was kind of the same situation where, you know, once you get the ability to play at that, 700, 750 range, then anything can happen.
Win.
Yeah,
you can beat anybody on the planet.
Yeah, and it is kind of cool. He withdrew his entry into the Jason Shaw Junior Open and decided, you know what, I'm just going to go play with all the big kids, and he's already sent one of America's finest to the loser side. So
that's pretty cool. Sucks for Tyler, but I think it could have happened to literally anyone, like you're saying.
Yep.
I think a big part of that is the better players, they're already looking past the first round, past the second round. They're looking at the third round, who they're going to play after this match. And the first thing Tyler found out, he's down 4-0.
Yeah.
And now the kid has some confidence, and Tyler doesn't want to get beat by a 14-year-old, so he starts pressing, and those
his face starts getting red.
Yeah, exactly.
I can imagine.
His face starts getting red, and those pockets are they're 4-inch, but as they go back towards the actual back of the pocket, I bet they go down to 3 3/4, and balls stick in them, and it's a tough thing to do.
For anybody, most amateur players don't have a understanding of pocket sizes and stuff like that, so we'll just say that most of the pockets, if you're playing on a diamond table, are going to be 4.5 inches, and then if you're playing on a valley table, it's going to be about 5 inches, or maybe 4 3/4 of an inch. So a lot more forgiving in pool. It's a game of millimeters, so those, even a 1/4 inch will really affect gameplay. So you're seeing a lot of hung up balls. I think there was one match, I don't remember who it was, but they missed the 7 ball twice. Both players came and missed it twice. And then the next player made the 7 ball, but it was to leave themselves a tough 8 ball, and then they missed that too. And that's something that a couple years ago you'd never see in a professional tournament, because they were also playing on these 4.5-inch pockets that we play on, and they just have such a control that you just see run out after run out. So it's pretty cool that at the top level they finally have the tables and the break conditions figured out to where you don't see people running away with the tournament. So
I was gonna ask if you got what you guys think about the 4-inch. I know Emily Frazier posted on Instagram or whatever and said that
that's the standard.
we're gonna have 4-inch pockets always at every event. So what do
Yeah.
you guys think about that?
I think for that, I think for that field, it's good. I think that there's going to be a level where you can't go too much farther than that, because part of the great thing about 9-ball pool or pocket billiards is that you want to be able to put a lot of spin and English on the ball. So if you go much lower than 4 inches, there's just shots that nobody will be able to do anymore. So as far as like being flashier, being able to see, the full range of what you can do with pool, I think that 4 inches to 4 1/8 for a pro is about where you want to keep it. And you can, you've even seen they've live streamed Shane, and he had one where he jarred one up, and I think it wasn't Alex Pagulayan, he hadn't played yet, but it was Chris Melling, had a straight shot in on the 8-ball.
Yeah, I saw
And
that.
missed it.
He tried to draw back a little bit for the 9-ball and just
he overstroked it, and that was because it was kind of like what Russ said about the other match. The other guy was putting pressure on him that he didn't expect. He kind of went up 4-2 or 4-1 on the match at one point and got Chris a little nervous, but then Chris kind of just steamrolled past him after that. So.
And this was at the UK Open that's going on right
Yep.
now.
So and again, back to Tyler Steyer, he is on the loser side, which is unfortunate. But he also just finished runner up at the Wisconsin Open. Had a great tournament there. He beat Fedor, and he beat a lot of other people, but he ended up going and losing to Josh Filler in the finals, who kind of just steamrolled through both the sets to win. So Skylar Woodward and Billy Thorpe haven't played yet. Shane Wolford hasn't played yet. And those are the 3 players really from America that have a fighting chance to be on the Mosconi Cup. So Shane Wolford, you guys, did he just finish runner-up at Buffalo or third? I know he was up there.
Let's talk about Buffaloes in a second, but Russ, what do you think about the 4-inch pockets?
I think on the professional level, I think 4-inch pockets are okay. I think it's a good test. It's a double-edged sword, and I hate to ramble on this, and we'll probably edit this, but in a longer race, I don't mind the 4-inch pockets because they're going to miss every once in a while. Short race stuff, I don't like the 4-inch pockets because you miss one shot, you could lose the match. And as far as amateur pool goes, I don't recommend it for amateurs at all, because I think it's like when you have a little kid, do you want to take them fishing or do you want to take them catching? And when you get amateur players playing on 4-inch pockets, they're never going to make a ball, so they're going to quit playing, or they're going to forget how to play, and they're just going to be shot makers. They're going to make a shot, never get shape. You're never going to see anyone run more than 3 balls.
That's like what Alex was saying, where if you have such a tight pocket, you can't really put any spin on the cue ball and get shape for your next ball as well as you could if you had a 4 1/4 inch pocket or a 4 1/2 inch pocket, because you're going to be throwing the cue ball so much that it's going to be really hard to predict the path of your object ball. So,
yeah, truth. And then the other part of that is you make the pockets so tight that you're not going to make more than 4 or 5 balls, and you have to play safe. That's cool. I understand that. But then they add the break box, and it causes clusters. And the only way to break up clusters is by putting spin on your cue ball, and putting spin on your cue ball causes you to miss the ball you're shooting at, and then you'll break the cluster up for the incoming player. So I think what'll happen is that they'll do this for 6 or 7 months, and these guys will begin to figure it out. And 3 or 4 years ago we had maybe 800 players, and now we have almost 400, 800 Fargos, or 40, 800 Fargos. I'm betting that if these guys keep coming in for 128 and 256 man fields for a year,
playing on 4-inch
pockets, when they come back home, whether it be in the UK or the US, when they come back home and get on 4.25 and 4.5-inch pockets, they're going to start annihilating things, and there's going to be a whole bunch of those 750 to 775 US players are going to be bumping up into that 780, 790 range, and I think it's better for the sport. It much like golf, the 4 majors have much tougher conditions than their run-of-the-mill tournaments, but you'll find that the better players play better in the majors because they hone their game for that situation. So for the amateurs to play on 4-inch pockets is a bad idea.
Yeah,
Agreed.
don't go buy a pool hall and
Yeah.
put 4-inch pockets on your tables because
Please,
you're
please
not
don't
going to
do
have
that.
anyone coming out and play it.
My own personal testament to this, I used to own a 9-foot diamond, and I had it cut to 4.25-inch pockets. I don't have the highest Fargo rate, but I am a certified instructor, and I'll just tell you, going from 4.5 down to a 4.25 was a huge difference, and it made that table play much, much harder, and I had to really, really pay attention to my stroke when I was playing on that. I missed out. I know who won the Buffalo Pro 1 pocket, but I would say to go back to Shane Wolford. I know that he hasn't played his first match in the UK Open, but I know he made a huge tear in that tournament, and that tournament ended up having the biggest Calcutta in the history of pool as far as we know. There were players that
As far as broadcasted pool, I think it was the biggest Calcutta ever. That's what Scott Frost was saying on the mic, and I think Scott, who's the other Scott that does the commentary out there?
Oh, Raybon.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
saying the same thing. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, the winner of that tournament ended up being Evan Lunda, but Shane Wolford took it all the way to the hill and played for the hot seat with Evan, but Evan kicked Shane to the loser side, and then Shane lost to Danny
Smith.
on the loser side, and
Okay.
Danny came up and played Evan on the winner's side, and Evan beat Danny. So
Gotcha. Okay. Well, and that was a huge. There was I think, was it Federer that went for 38, and then Alex went for 35.
Federer went for 40.
Oh, Federer went for 40, and
Yeah.
then Alex went for 38, and Tony Chohan went for $35,000. So that was a totally insane tournament.
And
we-
all of those guys, the top 3 players in the Calcutta, the top 3 dudes that went for over 35,000 each, all lost their first match.
Yeah.
And they end up being in the same side of the bracket on
Yeah.
the loser side. The 4-person field in their bracket was literally, I think, 121,000 of the 280 were in those 4 guys. It's like half of the Calcutta money
Just get dumped.
got annihilated.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was. I tell you, it was so fun to watch.
Yeah, there was a lot of really cool shots. When Quentin and I went and got sushi, we were watching Tony playing Shane Wolford, and there was just the way they move the cue ball and the way that the banks are so automatic, and just how they're getting so much done from shot to shot is just so eye-opening, because when you learn to play one pocket, you just kind of hope for a bank to show up, or you hope for your opponent to mess up and leave you an open shot. And you really watch these guys just come out and do things to just really take it away for their opponent, or just control the table in ways that you never really thought about before. So I love watching one pocket at that level, like whether it's watching Efren or watching Tony Chohan or any of those different styles. It's always so interesting to see just how much the small little things make everything so much
Different,
bigger.
yeah, and it's a thing that I kind of am starting to realize more and more the more I play is like the difference between our level of play and their level of play is like, let's say your opponent breaks and you have an out on the break, but you can leave a bank. You can play your out and get out of the inning, but you're gonna leave a bank or whatever, and it's gonna allow your opponent to get out. There's shots where you can play that out and get to a point on the table that's not gonna allow them to get to that bank, but the delicacy and the intricacy that shot requires to like get behind that 8 ball that's on the rail or whatever is so easy to sell out and just sell out a straight in shot instead of giving your opponent a bank shot. There's like a fine line where the pros will put it behind that 8 ball every time
every single time,
and not sell out that bank or the straight in shot. But if we try to go beyond our capabilities and try not to give them any shot instead of maybe selling out a bank shot, then a lot of the times we'll sell out the whole rack and give them a straight in shot. So it's crazy the difference between our level of play and their level of play. But it's just, I mean, it's something that we all have to work at and get to that level at some point.
One Pocket is an amazing game because it brings out your strengths, but it really brings out your weaknesses. I watched Shane play against, I think it was against Corey. Shane Wolford was up 4-0 or 4-1. Must have been 4-1 against Corey.
Mm-hmm.
And I left work at 4 o'clock while I was watching this match. Or left it somewhere in there. Doesn't matter. I literally left it, and it's 45 minutes from my work to my house. Well, I went to the chiropractor. I went shopping. I went back to my house, 2 hours later, 6 o'clock, and now it's 4-3. They played 2 games of pool in 2.5 hours, and it was riveting.
Yeah,
and the score of the game when I got there for the next game was like 2 balls for Corey and 0 for Shane, and they don't quit. They just keep fighting and try to get a hook on somebody, and it's amazing to me.
That's like you said, they don't quit, and that's a crazy thing to think about too, because that tournament is grueling. We played a tournament here in Boise, and it was 3 days long, and it was grueling.
And there was 12 of us.
And there was 12 of us. There's 24 players playing here, and each of them paid $2,000 to enter.
And it was a race to 5.
And it was a race to 5. Ours was a race to 3. But the final, I watched the final. I don't know. Did you watch the final at all? There was a point in the final where Evan Lunda was up on Danny Smith 4-1 in a race to 5, and he was up 7-0 in ball count.
He needs 1 ball to take home the
Evan
money.
needs 1 ball to take home $165,000, and Danny comes back and beats him in that game 8-7, and comes back and wins the next game on his break. Evan ends up winning the set 5-3 after Danny got to 3 after being down 4-1. But that's just like even if you're down 7-0, you can't give up. You know?
They just don't quit.
Yeah. So it's absolutely it's super cool. So that was it's exciting to see One Pocket getting so popular and getting so much money to it, which is just naturally going to attract attention. So got a lot of people talking about it in the pool world, and then you got also it's cool that Fedor. He's obviously Fedor Gors. For those of you who don't know, he is a Russian pool player that's working on getting his green card and becoming an American citizen, just basically because Russian athletes are all having a hard time competing due to the ongoing situation in Ukraine. So he's going to be playing more tournaments stateside, but it's super cool to see him getting into One Pocket and seeing the kind of European style coming and going against, because there's like the Filipinos like Alex Pagulayan or Dennis Orcollo and Carlo Beato and those guys, but then there's like a Tony Chohan and Scott Frost and Evan Linda, and the American guys are like Skylar Woodward and Billy Thorpe, who bank a lot. But then you have the European style, which is really fundamental, and they
make every ball.
Yeah, they just basically they play so much 9-ball that they just know how to make every single shot. So they make a shot and they can move the cue ball anywhere on the table to give themselves a easy run out. So it's
But the thing about that is they don't.
If they miss,
then
But the other thing is, that's a good point. But the other thing is, there's these guys like Corey Deuel and Alex Pagulayan and Tony, which is an American player, both Corey and Tony. But like, when you look at Fedor, he's a guy that can just make any shot, but he is also a guy who can get outmoved, right? And he kind of got a little humbled at Buffalo's.
Yeah, he can.
by Alex.
Yeah.
Yep, it's an amazing game because one game like the one you're talking about with Danny Smith and Evan, that game when Evan was ahead 7-0, and Danny came back. That game took like an hour and 48 minutes to play.
That was awesome game.
It was the most awesome game. I could watch that game over and over for an entire weekend. I would love that. The very next game was 1.5 innings. The next game didn't even last 3 minutes.
And then the next game was an 8-and-out by
Danny. Boom.
Danny broke and Evan went 8-and-out to win the whole match.
It's so cool.
There was a break. They were like, all right, we're gonna go smoke.
Yeah, they had a player break.
I went to go grab some ice cream, came back, and Evan's shooting the last money ball. I'm like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, no kidding.
Wild.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing thing. And the other thing too is when Ray Hansen was doing the auction, they got it started out, and last year's auction was huge. It was like $120-some thousand for the 22 players that were in it last year. And Ray says, we're going to start the bid at $30,000 a night. And some guy from the back of the crowd says, 35. And they thought it was going to be a joke starting at 30. You know, normally you go back down to 10 and work your way up. Well, he said 30, and they yelled 35 like the first bid. And it was like, holy moly.
It was big money.
And then it went crazy after that.
So that's in Louisiana. We hope to be able to go down there sometime soon, and we'll videotape and get some footage and do all that. We're looking into trying to go down to Texas and doing some other trips and stuff for either One Pocket or whatever tournaments around, or we have some other fun, exciting stuff that we're working on that we can't really talk about right now. So we'll get into all that stuff later. But back to the UK Open, since that's going on, there isn't any top names out of the tournament yet, so I think it'd be fun for each of us to pick 4 players that we think are going to be in the top 8. So I'll start with Russ. Russ, name 4 players that you think are going to be in the final 8 left standing. And so this is a 256 player field, and players from all over the world, Asia, the Philippines, Europe, America, Canada, are all playing this tournament. So.
Boy, I tell you, this is a hard one because half of the field is like at most open events. Half of the field are like non-existent, but then they come in and cause upsets. But my 4 would be, I'm never going to bet against Alex. I'm not going to bet against Shane because Shane's got a big advantage because he's been in Europe now for about a month.
Van Boning.
Yeah, Shane Van Boning. And Alex and Fedor both played in Louisiana, so I'm thinking there might be some jet lag. But I'm going to take Fedor, Alex, and Shane, and then I'm going to go with James Aranis Dudong. I just have that's who I'm gonna take because I know there's so many big names. There's 50 that you could pick, and I'm taking those would be the 4 that I'm taking.
I love your Aranis pick, and I really wanted that to be my little undercard pick, but you kind of stole it from me. But I will say the funny thing is out of your top 4, two of your top four are actually scheduled to play each other next.
Oh yeah, well see, I didn't look at I didn't look at the
Well, no,
bracket.
that's funny. I wrote it down because I was looking at the upcoming matches, and Fedor Gorst is going to be playing James Aranis, I think Thursday morning. So I would really expect that one to be on the TV table or at table two. So Quentin, who do you think your top four?
I gotta pick Fedor. I gotta pick Alex. Can you guys fill me in on who's there? People I would know.
Yeah,
Kachi's-
Filler, Fine,
Kachi, Filler.
Kachi, Mario He, Francisco Sanchez
Everybody.
Ruiz. Yeah, most everyone. There's Kopin Yi's there. I didn't see if Chung there. I don't know if he's there. I know Kopin Yi is.
And
Okay.
Han is Kopin
Yeah.
Han is
Okay, did I say Fedor and Shane? Or
Fedor and
You
Alex.
said Fedor and Alex.
okay, I'm gonna take Alex out of that. I'm gonna put Fedor, and then I'm gonna go with Niels. I think he's due for something big. He's been playing really good. I can't remember what tournament it was. A couple months ago, he came up just a little short of a huge title. And then I will say Francisco Sanchez Ruiz has got to be up there. And I will put, for my fourth pick, I'll put Shane Van Boning.
Okay, you got Shane, Fedor, Francisco, and who else?
Niels.
Neil's fine, right? Cool. I think I like that a lot. I like your Neil's pick is my favorite, and then his James Aranis pick is my favorite of your two. It would be really cool to see either one of them go super far. So I'm going to pick kind of a wild card pick from America and say Skylar Woodward would be my pick. He's one of those guys that if he can bear down and once he figures out the break and actually gets himself motivated to be in the tournament, he's super tough to beat. So I really like his chances of going all the way. Since Russ picked Aranis, I'll go with Kopin Yi as one of my picks. He just won the World Pool Masters, and he also is one of the ones that he beat Shane Van Boning for the World Championship. So once he's in form, he's definitely one to beat. So right now I'm at Kopin Yi, Skylar Woodward. I'll go with Kachi as my other third pick.
That's who Kopin Yi beat in the World Pool Masters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So absolutely. And then so I'm gonna pick another underdog European that I think that he's always a guy that comes in he's always in the top 32. But he doesn't seem to crack through. So I'll go with Dennis Grabe. So Dennis Grabe, Kachi,
I like that.
Skylar Woodward, and Kopin Yi are my four. So we'll have a fun time going back and checking this out
Sweating
once the
players.
tournament's over. And we'll try to figure out something that the winner gets or the loser gets or whatever. So thanks for listening, guys. We're gonna kind of wrap it up here, but we do have.
I think we should talk about a couple other things.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think we should have a 30-minute podcast or an hour?
I think about an hour. We're at least an hour in right now.
We're at 31 minutes right
31 minutes. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, it must have taken us a little longer to get started.
Yeah.
So I think we should go an hour. I have somewhere to be by 8. I can be a little bit late for that, but
Okay, let's just talk 20 minutes or so.
Yeah.
We had recently 2 events here in Boise that I would like to talk about. The first one was our first one pocket event on our 6 9-foot diamonds that we recently acquired. So that's been super exciting having those 6 new diamonds. And then we can also talk about the most recent Boise vs. Nampa 10-ball tournament that we
yeah.
had.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. So I ran the tournament, the 10-ball one. I had a bunch of lessons, so I couldn't play the one pocket tournament, but it was super cool to see. I know that Russ came out. I'm pretty sure I saw Steve Wanick playing in it. Smitty, Larry Gates,
Kent. Do you guys know Kent?
Kent.
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't know
Kent played.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting, and I'm glad that we have a 6-foot table. So I'm going to say here on
Six
that note,
9-foot.
or 6 9-foot tables. Yeah, I said a 6-foot table. So I think it would be super cool if for events like the Steiner, since we have the 9-foots now, I think it'd be cool if they did a 32 player open field on the 9-foots. And then did an A-B bracket on the 7-foots. And I think that you could have you could get 64 players on the 7-foots, and then you could have 32 players in an open field. I think that would be super cool. Even if it's not the Steiner, I think it'd be super cool for us to get a tournament, something similar like that in Boise. So the one pocket, Smitty ended up taking that down. He ended up beating our fellow Quentin in the finals. Quentin played really great, but just Smitty's overall, he's almost a 700 Fargo, so his banking knowledge, it was kind of like what we were talking about watching the Buffalo Pros. He was doing a great job at banking balls towards his hole and almost making them, and then putting the cue ball in just an awful place for Quentin if he missed. So Quentin fought in almost every single game. I think there was 2 that Smitty kind of ran away with overall, but all the games came down to where Quentin had like 5 or 6 balls and ended up losing to Smitty. But had a great show, and he beat Lucky Johnny, who also played in the tournament. He beat Johnny twice, so now that's on air forever. Johnny lost twice to Quentin. So, yeah, good stuff. How'd you do in the tournament, Russ?
I played very well. I won my first match. Crap, who did I play?
Isn't it Lee?
Played a long match against Lee.
Oh yeah, I played Lee Salinas, and I practiced, and I never missed a ball. And I got up against Lee, and in the first 2 games, I never made a ball. I could nothing I shot worked out. And then I went into Corey duel mode. I didn't shoot anything that wasn't 100% until I got back in stroke, and then I ended up getting Lee 3-2.
Yeah, you were down 0-2, right?
Yeah, I was down 2-0 in like 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that was kind of a waste of $60. But then I come up against Quentin, and no, who did I play next?
Yeah, you played
Yes.
someone else after.
Yeah,
or
and
after
then
Lee.
I played outstanding against them. I played really really well. Ah, dang it, I can't remember. Then I come up against Quentin, and it went back and forth. But we played some of the best one pocket on our level that I think can be played.
Yeah.
And I had him twice. I was on 6, and I laid a ball in my pocket and hooked him, tied him up, and the rascal three railed out on me twice and got on shape. And I'm like, how in the hell did that just happen? But he played terrific.
No, yeah,
it was fun. It was fun to watch.
We had a good match. I
Yeah,
think.
we were back in the corner, and
Nobody watched it.
no one even knew we were there. But it was terrific. We didn't miss very many balls. We played terrific shape. It was great. Our field was only 12, but it was a start. 2 years ago, I ran a tournament. We had 16 in it, but to be honest, there was about 8 people that probably didn't really belong there. But
in they didn't know how to play.
They
one
didn't know how to
pocket.
play yet. Well, and we
Yeah.
probably didn't either. But over Labor Day weekend this year, we're going to hold another tournament, and it'll be $100 entry fee. And I'm hoping to draw some people from Portland and Seattle, and I think we'll run a good event that weekend. I can't really give out any of the details, but it'll be something along the lines of what Alex is talking about. There'll be a big tournament going on the 7-foot tables. There are 14 7-foot tables at the pocket, and 6 9-footers, and we're going to run a one-pocket tournament on the 9-footers, and a big 8-ball or 9-ball event on the other tables.
That would be cool.
and that'll be awesome. And then there's another tournament going to come up, and it's so hard because there's only 52 weeks a year, and it seems like we have something every weekend. But we're going to run something exactly like what Alex is talking about, where we can run 3 or 4 tournaments at the same time, same weekend, and get over 100 players in the building.
Yeah.
And with the new ownership group of Heather Earl and Wayne Earl, they're not afraid to add money. The food is outstanding.
Yeah, Heather and Wayne added $200 to that one pocket tournament.
Yeah, and there was only
They
12
added
of us.
150 to the Boise versus Nampa.
Yeah, so that was awesome.
I guess this is a thing I'd like to bring up right now. 5 years ago in Boise, I think there was about $1,000 added to pool tournaments
Altogether.
through the whole year.
Yeah.
In the last 12 months, there's been over $30,000 added to tournaments in the Boise area. Now, granted, it's not $30,000 in one event, but there's a lot of $500 added events, some $3,000 added, a $5,000 added women's a couple weeks ago. Pool in Boise is booming now, but it is going to explode. Especially we have got there's over 50 diamond tables in our valley on location, and not to mention how many are in homes. Pool is going to go crazy in Boise. We're kind of a destination resort, but we're going to make it fun for people to come. People who come here one time always come back.
That's funny because the reason I moved here is because I came here one time when I was going to Colorado, ate food at 10 Barrel, and was like, I'm going to move here. But
Nice.
anyways, like Russ was saying, Pool is blowing up in the valley, but One Pocket is also blowing up.
Oh, yeah,
in
it's
the valley.
Going up
going
in the
crazy.
valley and
in the country.
Yeah. So,
Russ said that he ran that tournament 3 years ago or whatever, with the One Pocket tournament, and a couple of people maybe never played One Pocket, but we had 12 players this time, and they're all good players, right?
Yeah. It was a terrific event.
Yeah.
And there was some really, really good One Pocket played, and that's on our Vision channel. There wasn't a lot of commentary because our commentators were playing or
Right.
yeah.
giving lessons. And
I did come in and I commented on his first match with Smitty, which is another one where it was exactly like the second match I described, where Quentin fought super hard and then just kept on falling like a ball or two short. And then the last game was a One Pocket highlight reel of Smitty just making unbelievable.
Like 6 banks.
Yeah,
that were
he-
just
it was
fucked.
sick.
Yeah. So, but Smitty, we all love him, and it's great that we have somebody here that gives us such a hard time to beat. It's a great goal to shoot for. So we'll move on from that one and go into the Boise versus Nampa a little bit, which was we did 10 ball this time. So we've done an 8 ball, a 9 ball, and now we've done 10 ball, and we'll do 8, 9, and 10 again. And then the final 4 at the top of the standings will make Team Boise or Team Nampa. It was really cool because this time we had 24 players as opposed to the 16 that we've had for the last 2. So we had players like, the winner of the tournament, Will Briscoe for
How
Team
about
Nampa.
Will,
Yeah,
dude?
he
played outstanding.
Outstanding.
yeah, so he did really great. And then in the match with Hurley, he just never let Hurley get away with any of the mistakes.
But the other thing is Will got knocked to the loser side by Hurley.
Yeah, and he got smoked by Hurley. The
Yeah.
score was 8-3. And then in this match, they just clawed their way through it. Jeff Hurley, through the whole match, stayed up 1 game or 2 games. Will came back and tied it up, but then he tied it up hill. Jeff didn't get his out, and Will even had to break a cluster out, and he had to jump a ball in, and ended up running out.
Man, he
to
jumps
win.
like a
So,
madman.
yeah,
he
so
does.
He really does.
So we had Will Briscoe, Team Nampa, the first Nampa player to even make the finals, takes down who's almost surely going to be on Team Boise because he's super far in the lead. Hurley's made the finals all 3 times, so it would take a lot for him to fall through the standings to not make the team. So that was, great shooting by Will. That put him ranked 3rd in the Team Nampa standings just off of 1 performance in 1 tournament. So if anybody thinks that there's not time to make the team, there absolutely is. So First place, Will Briscoe. Second place was Jeff Hurley. Third place was Dennis Jurek, who Will also beat to get to the finals. Fourth place was John McGraw. And then tied for fifth and sixth was Quentin, and then Rene Rosado.
And Will got me on his way to Hurley.
Yes, he did.
Also.
So it was a really fun event overall. Lots of really good pool, and it was cool to see the shakeups on each of the ranking lists. On both sides, there was players that couldn't make it that still were able to keep their spot in the rankings, but then there are also new names that have showed up. So pretty excited to see how it turns out over the next 3 tournaments to see who makes the team, and it'll be a lot of fun to do the actual Boise versus Nampa event. So,
and another thing that's going on, the Boise versus Nampa event will be going on the same time we run our actual mini Moscone, which started this thing. We have 3-person teams in a mini Moscone format.
On 2 divisions.
In 2 divisions, a 1550 and under,
Yep.
and a 1350 and under division, or 1300, I can't remember which. But anyway, last year we had 84 total players playing over 3 days, and it is an outstanding event. And now with the mini Moscone 5-person team going on at the same time, the pocket is going to be packed with good pool players. And the average pool player in Boise from 4 years ago, I bet the average player in Boise has gone up 50 Fargo points, which is 50% in ability. It's just amazing to watch. You go in there on a Tuesday night or a Friday night, Saturday night, and the average player coming into the building is so much better than they were just a couple of years ago. It's just fun to watch.
Yeah,
And I've seen that growth since I moved here like two years ago and definitely, like Russ is saying, the play has improved like crazy. Like you can go, like 2 years ago, if I played at the level I play now, I would be placing in every weekly tournament. But now there's people that were a lower rating that are just like boosting like crazy.
Yeah,
and anyone can take you out at any time. So.
Yeah, and we're getting good enough now that we're once in a while we will beat a Jeff Hurley or a Josh Schmidt or Lucky Johnny or Twan. Those guys, they're not invincible anymore, and people are not afraid to play them.
And then when you do beat one of those guys, it changes everything.
Yeah.
It changes the way you think about it going into the match. Because if you think you can't win going into the match, you're probably not going to win.
Yep.
That's how it goes. And then the one time you do win, it changes the way you think about every other match.
Yep.
And it just grows from there. So.
Or even on another note, even if you don't win, but you saw how close you were to having the opportunity to win, it just gives you that confidence and that vision to be able to see that it is possible. So. So yeah, it's really exciting stuff, and we'll keep on doing tournaments and stuff like that. I provide lessons, so if anybody wants to reach out to me, and I do those lessons. I've been getting great reviews from the people who have been taking my instruction, and they've been beating up on the big kids that they've been running into. So that's been super fun for me as well. Quick shout out to all our sponsors right now. So we got iTile is our newest sponsor, so that's Dan Tibbetts. So he does his own tiling company, and he does super great work. Add him on Facebook, and he has a lot of photos of the work that he's done. And I believe he has an iTile Facebook page as well. And then we also got Jeff's Appliance, who is Jeff Hurley, Jeff and Nikki Hurley. And then we also have a new sponsor, a brand new sponsor that's actually newer than Dan. So I'll let Russ jump in on that one.
It's John Clemens, chiropractor. He's my chiropractor, and he follows us on. He follows all of our fight nights, and he asks me about all the tournaments that I go to. I go into him, and you can keep that and use that for our
For the
so we
logo.
can get him up on the screen. But John's a terrific chiropractor. It's a $30 set price, no insurance, no X-rays, no nothing. He wants to get you fixed, and his goal is to, once he gets an adjustment on you, he doesn't want to see you again. And he's a huge pool fan, probably because of me.
Really?
But I tell him about when I go to Sacramento or Lincoln City or Gillette, Wyoming, or whatever, and he follows the broadcast. So it's just pretty cool. It's nice to get people that aren't into pool to be our sponsors, and we're picking up more and more of them. And
Yeah, we got a few. So
it's pretty cool.
right on. And so back into Jeff's Appliance real quick. Jeff and Nikki Hurley, they have their own shop, refrigerators, ovens, dishwashers, all sorts of different stuff, and they can help repair your stuff too. So reach out to them.
Yeah.
Super
I
nice
actually worked with them for a long, couple months, 2 or 3 months. They'll come to your house, remove your broken dryer, washer, refrigerator, whatever it is, whatever appliance it is, remove that one and install a new one for you in the same day. So it's really helpful, and they're great people, and great people for our pool community. So.
And then, so on from Jeff's Appliance, we also have Best You Performance, which is Alma Barroso. She's married to Mike Barroso, and it's basically it's kind of like a personal training fitness class thing that she does. So she has her own business, and reach out to her if you're looking. I think she might have some like diet stuff that she does too, but it's mostly mostly fitness. So reach out to her, and she has some programs available. Muy Bueno Taco Truck, which is the taco truck right outside of the firehouse. If you're ever at the firehouse, some of the best tacos you'll ever have. They have burritos, tacos. They do have cheeseburgers and stuff. But if you want really good, authentic Mexican food, Muy Bueno is the place to go.
And their burgers are not bad either.
No, their Texas burger is to die for.
So really good food. Go eat there immediately. I've had people that don't even play pool have been like, "Hey man, I went to this place that had pool tables and it was the best taco truck ever." And I was like, "Was it the Firehouse?" And they're like, "Yes." So that's a true story. Next sponsor would be Billiards of Idaho. So they're over off of Main Street. They sell pool tables. Carla Jean does lessons. They have pool cues, cases, all the accessories, gloves, chalk, pool balls, anything that you could think of. Super great people. They're nice and friendly. They can give you advice on anything, and they've always been super supportive. So go to their store. They'll pull the cue off of the wall and let you hit a couple balls on there. They have a 7-foot Rasan, and it's one of the first ones that was ever built by Rasan. She has a little card that they gave her with it, so that's super cool. So
Yeah, and it's always good to support local if you can, and they're local to Boise. So if you're thinking about buying a cue, they can get whatever cue you need. So if you're looking to buy a cue on like Pool Dog or whatever, that's fine. But it's always great if you're in the area to support local business. So that's what we recommend.
yeah, so if you're interested in being a sponsor of Vision Pool, reach out to either me, Russ Zorn. Oh, and we also got Bad Boy Tables, which is Calvin Hatfield. He's been putting a few of the diamond tables we were talking about, and he's put a few of the diamonds in like the East Side Tavern and then Quinn's, and so he also does at-home pool, whether it's moving a pool table or leveling or refelting. He's somebody that you can reach out to. I think now that it's summertime, he should be a little bit more available because he is in school. But and thanks to Digital Pool, digitalpool.com, and Isaac Wooten. And we're also sponsored by Pool Action TV, and they were the ones that streamed the Buffalo Pro One Pocket event. So that about wraps it up. We'll try to get back next week and give the updates and see how our predictions on the UK Open went. Again, our next Boise versus Nampa is June 23rd to the 25th at the Firehouse. And also, Russ does do lessons too, so you can also reach out to him. He's a certified instructor. I'm not the only one here that does lessons. And then Quentin's our social media guy. We have on the back end, we have Skylar Ewings, and then Jeff Jones and Nate Stauffer do a lot of the administrative help. So give them a thank you and a pat on the back next time you see them. And I think that about wraps up everything I got. Anybody else got anything?
I think one other guy that we always leave out, but everyone talks about him, is Mark Adams. He's our main commentator, and we get so much feedback on Mark. Some of it is always so unprofessional and blah blah, but he has stories and he has so much knowledge of the game, of any game, of how to play. I mean, he was a semi-pro player, placed 4th, 5th, and 6th in huge one-pocket tournaments about 10 years ago in the Carolinas. He's a great guy, funny guy. You'll meet him in our other videos.
Yeah, please go back and watch our trip to Vegas. Me, Russ, and Mark. Just the most funny video I've ever made, and I've literally made over 500 YouTube videos. That video was the funniest one I've ever edited. I had so much fun making it, and I love Mark, and I think he is just one of the greatest dudes ever, and I'm happy he's on board with us.
Yeah, he's
good stuff.
He's a hoot, and none of that stuff was scripted. I mean, that video that Quentin made was 18 minutes or whatever. It could have been 3 days long. Oh my God! We laughed so much. We were crying. And anyways, thank you guys for showing up. And other thing I'd like to say is support every single streamer of a pool event out there. Subscribe to their channel. You don't have to watch all their stuff. Like you probably don't watch Boise stuff very often. I don't watch stuff in Orlando very often. But we need subscribers. All of us need subscribers so we can start getting some of this Facebook ad money or YouTube ad money, because it's important for all of us, because all of us, we don't get paid anything for this, but we need something to help us fund going to different places and just doing things, because it's a labor of love. And if we support every single subscriber or streamer that you see out there, just give them that like button.
Yep, absolutely. So,
For sure.
yeah, do that. And also, we're going to be, we're doing the Friday night fights as well, which we haven't mentioned. I don't know that we have any this Friday, but we'll get those announced and up and running and get those going as well, too. So, thanks again, guys. This has been Vision Pool. It's our first podcast, so we'll start getting together and recording some more of these. Let us know what you'd like to hear more of, or if there's something that we missed. Let us know, and we'll always reach out. Please like, comment, and share. That's about all I got.
That's Alex. I'm Quentin.
And I'm Russ.
All right, see you guys
Thank
later.
you guys for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one.